Welcome to Cookie's Maths and Science Hub. In this lesson, you'll learn how to solve quadratics for an unknown x using the quadratic formula. There is a simpler way to solve quadratics using what's known as the quadratic formula. This formula is derived and allows us to solve for our values of x without having to use the null factor law and does not require any factorization. Some may find this easier, others find null factor law much easier to comprehend. I personally find this easier and feel like it's a quicker way of doing it without having to factorize. So, our law, again using our base quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c, our quadratic formula is x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared, take 4ac, over 2a. The key bit of this equation is the plus or minus, because that means you actually have to use this equation twice for each sum, as it'll give two answers, much like the null factor law. Let's look at some examples and substitute our numbers in. So we have x squared plus 7x plus 6 equals 0, and we've been asked to solve it. Now, if you've watched through the factorization parts of the video, you know we've already done this one with null factor. You'll see here we get the same answers. It's just another way of solving the equation. So our a value is 1. Remembering if there's nothing in front of a letter in algebra, it's just 1. Our b value is 7, and our c value is 6. So x is equal to negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 7 squared, subtract 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 6 over 2 multiplied by 6. Now, you should have access to your calculator to do these ones. You can do them in your head, it just takes a little bit longer, but I've just put it in my calculator. And you'll need to solve it once for adding and once for subtraction. So once for negative 7 plus the rest of the equation, and once for negative 7 subtract the rest of the equation. This will give you x values of negative 6 or negative 1. Okay, looking at another now. X squared subtract 4x take 12 equals 0. So our a value is 1, our b value is negative 4, and our c value is negative 12. Remembering it's important in this case to remember your negative values. So x is equal to 4 plus or minus square root of negative 4 squared. Now you have to be careful with those ones, as remembering a negative times a negative gives a positive, even when it's a negative squared. Take 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by negative 12 over 2 multiplied by 1. Plugging that into your calculator away again, or solving it in your head if you can, that gives you x is equal to 6 or negative 2. Okay, looking at a more complex example now. Looking at one where our a value is not 1, we have 2x squared plus 5x subtract 12 equal to 0, and we're asked to solve for x. So our a is equal to 2, our b is equal to 5, and our c is equal to negative 12. So our x is equal to negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 5 squared, subtract 4 multiplied by 2 multiplied by negative 12, over 2 multiplied by 2. And this gives us our x value is equal to negative 3 on 2, or our x value is equal to negative 4. Last example now, using the equation, we have x squared subtract 8x subtract 5 is equal to 0. So our a is equal to 1, our b is equal to 8, and our c is equal to negative 5. Now, for an example like this, you'd usually need to use completing the square if you're factorizing, but we can just plug our numbers into the equation. So x is equal to negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 8 squared, subtract 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by negative 5 over 2 multiplied by 1. Plugging that into your calculator, you'll get x is equal to square root of 21 plus 4, or x is equal to negative square root of 21 plus 4. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you now know how to use the quadratic formula to solve for unknowns in the quadratic equations. There was a slight change between this video and the summary video of Quadratics on this slide. Let me know in the comments if you can find it, and hope to see you again soon.